In the heart of Chile's Atacama Desert, where the air was so dry it crackled with static electricity, Dr. Maya Rodriguez stood before a weapon that shouldn't exist. The massive railgun prototype stretched nearly half a kilometer across the secret facility, its barrel disappearing into a specially constructed mountain tunnel. But it wasn't the size that made it impossible, it was what happened when they fired it. Time to impact? Maya asked, her eyes fixed on the holographic display floating above her workstation. The entire control room hummed with tension as dozens of technicians monitored their stations. 3 seconds, responded Dr. James Cattry, their lead physicist. His dark eyes never left the quantum interference patterns dancing across his screen. 2, 1. 15,000 kilometers above Earth, their test projectile struck its target, a decommissioned satellite. But instead of simply destroying it, reality itself seemed to hiccup. For a fraction of a second, the space around the impact point twisted, folded, and did something that made their quantum sensors scream in protest. Did anyone else see that? James whispered, his hands trembling as he replayed the data. The projectile, it didn't just hit the target. It created a localized disruption in spacetime. Maya nodded slowly, her mind racing through the implications. They'd been tasked with developing Earth's most advanced defensive weapon after long-range sensors detected an approaching alien fleet. But they'd created something far more significant, and far more dangerous. General Torres needs to see this immediately, she said, already composing the message in her head. But before she could send it, every alarm in the facility began blaring at once. Multiple quantum anomalies detected, shouted Lieutenant Reza Patel from the sensor station. They're appearing all around Earth orbit. Hundreds of them. The main view screen filled with swirling vortexes of impossible color as space itself tore open. Through each rift emerged sleek vessels of unknown design, their hulls seeming to shift and flow like liquid metal. They weren't coming to Earth, Maya realized with growing horror. They were already here, waiting in some kind of fold space. Our test shot, we just rang the dinner bell. The facility's quantum communication array crackled to life, broadcasting a message that bypassed their computers and projected directly into their minds. Interesting. You've discovered principles of quantum ballistics far earlier than projected. Unfortunately, this accelerated timeline cannot be permitted. Your species requires adjustment. James grabbed Maya's arm, his face pale. The railgun wasn't just a weapon, it was a test. They were watching to see if we'd figure it out. Maya's jaw set in determination as she began entering commands into her console. Then let's show them what else we've figured out. Lieutenant Patel, begin emergency power-up sequence. Dr. Cattry, I need weapons-grade calculations for a full power shot. But the railgun isn't rated for full power. James protested. The quantum cascade could tear apart half the planet. They're going to do worse if we don't stop them, Maya countered, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. Besides, I've been running simulations on my own time. I think I know why the quantum effects are happening, and how to control them. Above them, the alien fleet began taking up attack positions, their weapons charging with energies that made the very fabric of space shiver. But they had made one critical mistake, they had given humanity exactly what it needed, a reason to push beyond the impossible. Maya looked at her team, seeing the same mix of fear and determination in their eyes that she felt in her heart. They think they're here to adjust our species? She allowed herself a grim smile. Let's show them some adjustments of our own. The railgun hummed to life, its massive capacitors beginning a charge cycle that made the desert air taste like lightning. They had one shot to prove that humanity deserved its place among the stars. Maya intended to make it count. The command center's air grew thick with ozone as the railgun's capacitors reached unprecedented power levels. Through the reinforced windows, Maya could see electrical discharges dancing along the weapon's length, turning the desert night into artificial day. "90 seconds to full charge," Lieutenant Patel announced, his voice steady despite the sweat beading on his forehead. The quantum monitors behind him displayed an ever-increasing cascade of impossible numbers. James worked furiously at his station, surrounded by floating holographic equations. "Maya, I think I've figured it out. The railgun isn't just accelerating the projectile, it's creating a quantum entanglement field. When we fire at full power, we won't just be hitting them with kinetic energy. We'll be hitting them with probability itself," Maya finished, seeing where his calculations led. "The projectile will exist in multiple states simultaneously, carrying enough quantum potential to rewrite local physics," James nodded. "But there's a problem. At these energy levels, the effect could cascade. We might not just punch through their ships, we could punch through reality." Above them, the alien fleet had arranged itself in an elaborate geometric pattern. New messages flooded their minds, no longer diplomatic but threatening. "Your resistance is noted but futile. The quantum awakening process must follow established protocols. Accept adjustment or face extinction." Maya's hands clenched into fists. "They still think we're just fumbling in the dark, that we discovered this by accident." She turned to her team. "But we're not fumbling anymore. Lieutenant Patel, status of the targeting system?" "Locked on their command ship." "But Doctor, they're deploying some kind of quantum shield matrix. The energy readings are off the charts." "Good," Maya smiled. "That means they're scared." "James, how close are we to understanding the entanglement field mechanics?" "Close enough to try something incredibly stupid," he replied, pushing a new set of calculations to her screen. "If we modify the projectile's quantum state before firing, we could create a resonance cascade. Their shields would actually amplify the effect." Warning klaxons blared as the alien fleet began powering up their weapons. Streams of data from Earth's defensive satellites showed energy buildups that defied conventional physics. They were about to experience firsthand just how advanced their opponents were. 30 seconds to full charge," Patel announced. Maya studied James's calculations, seeing the elegant brutality of what he proposed. They wouldn't just be firing a projectile, they'd be launching a quantum virus, one that would use the aliens' own advanced technology against them. "General Torres is on the quantum comm," one of the technicians called out. "He's ordering us to stand down. The aliens are broadcasting surrender terms to every major government." 20 seconds. Maya opened a channel to the general. "Sir, with respect, we're not going to get another chance. They're not here to adjust us, they're here to ensure we develop according to their plan. Everything that makes us human would be regulated, controlled, shaped to their design." 10 seconds. Through the quantum link, she could feel the general's conflict. The fate of humanity resting on a weapon they barely understood, based on physics they'd just discovered. 5 seconds. "Do it," Torres commanded. "Show them humanity doesn't follow anyone's plan but our own." Maya's finger hovered over the firing control. In the last moment before she pressed it, she saw James's expression change from uncertainty to wonder as his final calculations completed. "Maya," he breathed, "the quantum cascade, it's not a bug in our design. It's a feature. We're not just making a weapon, we're about to teach the laws of physics a new trick." She pressed the button. The railgun fired. And in that instant, as the quantum-entangled projectile crossed the void between Earth and the alien fleet at impossible speeds, humanity demonstrated that they weren't just ready to join the galactic community, they were ready to rewrite its rules. The projectile struck the alien command ship's shields, and reality held its breath to see what would happen next. Time seemed to stop the moment the quantum-entangled projectile struck the alien command ship's shields. For one impossibly long second, nothing happened. Then reality itself began to unravel. Multiple quantum state violations. Patel shouted, his sensor displays exploding with data. The entanglement field it's propagating through their entire shield network. Maya watched in awe as the alien fleet's perfect geometric formation began to distort. Their liquid metal hulls rippled and twisted, caught in waves of probability that turned solid matter into quantum uncertainty. But it was what happened next that changed everything. Maya. James called urgently. The readings, they're not just breaking physics, they're rewriting it. The aliens' quantum technology is trying to compensate, but it's making everything worse. The command ship's shields, designed to manipulate quantum states with precise control, had become a catalyst for something unprecedented. Each attempt by their advanced systems to counter the effect only created new quantum resonances, spreading the cascade throughout their fleet. Through their quantum communication link, the aliens' thoughts now carried traces of something they'd never detected before: fear. "What have you done?" their messages resonated in everyone's mind. "This violation, it's impossible. Your species cannot have mastered quantum probability manipulation at this level." Maya leaned forward, entering commands to record every scrap of data they could gather. "We didn't master it," she transmitted back. "We just stopped trying to control it. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to embrace chaos." The alien vessels closest to their command ship began to phase in and out of normal space, their quantum drives caught in feedback loops of contradictory physics. Some ships appeared to exist in multiple states simultaneously, their forms blurring as reality struggled to decide which version was real. "They're trying to retreat," Patel reported, "but the quantum cascade is affecting their fold space technology. They can't stabilize their dimensional rifts." James's eyes widened as he studied the cascade patterns. "It's more than that. Look at how the effect is spreading. It's not just affecting their ships. It's changing the fundamental rules of quantum mechanics in that entire sector of space." A new transmission cut through their thoughts, this one different from the others. Where the previous alien communications had been coldly logical, this one carried undertones of ancient wisdom and genuine surprise. Perhaps we were wrong," the voice resonated. "We sought to guide younger species along the path of quantum understanding, believing there was only one correct way to develop. But you humans, you've shown us something new. Something unprecedented." The command ship's form had almost completely dissolved into a cloud of quantum probability, yet somehow it was still transmitting. "You don't just use quantum mechanics, you dance with it. Where we built technology to impose order on quantum chaos, you've created something that works in harmony with it." Maya exchanged glances with James. This wasn't the response they'd expected. "Are you saying our primitive approach to quantum physics might actually have advantages?" "More than advantages," the alien consciousness replied. "You've you've invented an entirely new branch of quantum physics. One that our civilization's trillion years of development never conceived of. But victory celebrations would have to wait." Warning signals blared as the quantum cascade began to approach critical levels. "The effect is still growing," James warned. "If we don't find a way to stabilize it soon, it could rewrite physics across the entire solar system." Maya's mind raced. They'd created this phenomenon by thinking differently about quantum mechanics. Maybe they needed to think differently about solving it too. "What if we don't try to stop it?" she suggested. "What if we guide it instead?" The alien consciousness stirred with interest. Yes. Not containment, but cooperation with quantum probability itself. "We can help you, if you will help us understand this new path you've discovered." As the quantum cascade reached its peak, humanity and their former enemies worked together to shape something entirely new, a stable fusion of their rigid quantum technology and humanity's more intuitive approach. Above Earth, reality itself was being reforged, not through control, but through collaboration with the very fabric of the universe. The railgun that had started it all powered down, its purpose served. But its legacy was just beginning. Humanity hadn't just defended itself, it had revolutionized the understanding of quantum physics across the galaxy. The Atacama facility had become an impossible fusion of human and alien technology. Holographic displays merged with quantum probability fields, creating interfaces that existed in multiple states simultaneously. Maya stood at the center of it all, watching as James worked alongside a shimmering crystalline form, the alien consciousness that had introduced itself as first observer. "The quantum cascade has stabilized," James reported, his hands moving through mathematical equations that seemed to fold through extra dimensions. "But it's not just stable, it's creating something new." First observers' form pulsed with patterns of light that their newly modified sensors interpreted as excitement. "Your Railgun's effect has established what we're calling a quantum harmony zone. Within this space, our rigid quantum technology can interface directly with your probability-based innovations." Maya studied the readings from orbit. The zone of altered physics now extended in a perfect sphere around Earth, encompassing the Moon's orbit. Inside this zone, the laws of quantum mechanics had been fundamentally altered, or perhaps, as first observer suggested, enhanced. "We're detecting new quantum signatures," Lieutenant Patel announced from his upgraded station. "Multiple vessels approaching from deep space. They're not like the first observer's ships." The main display shifted, showing a fleet of darker, angular vessels emerging from fold space. Unlike the liquid metal aesthetics of first observer's people, these ships bristled with weapons that seemed designed to tear reality apart. The negators, first observers' thoughts carried a weight of ancient conflict. They believe quantum mechanics must be controlled, dominated. They've spent millennia trying to suppress any civilization that approaches quantum physics differently. "We were once like them, until today." Hostile ships charging weapons. Patel's voice carried urgency. "Their energy signatures are like nothing we've seen, they're trying to collapse the quantum harmony zone." Maya's mind raced. The Railgun had started all this, but now it was just one piece of a larger puzzle. "James, what happens if we fire the Railgun through the quantum harmony zone?" His eyes widened as he ran the calculations. "With the altered physics, theoretically, we could create quantum bullets that exist in perfect resonance with probability itself. But the calculations would be impossible to predict." "Maybe we shouldn't try to predict them," Maya suggested, an idea forming. "First observer, you said our strength was in working with quantum probability rather than trying to control it. What if we embrace that completely?" The alien consciousness rippled with understanding. "Yes, instead of calculating precise quantum states, create a framework of possibilities and let quantum mechanics itself determine the optimal outcome." It's brilliant in its simplicity. The Negator fleet launched their first attack, beams of concentrated anti-probability that began to eat away at the quantum harmony zone. Reality itself screamed as they tried to force it back into rigid, predictable patterns. "Railgun at full power," Maya announced, her fingers dancing across the hybrid interface. "But this time, we're not firing a single quantum state. We're firing all of them simultaneously." James's modified calculations flowed into the weapon systems, merging human intuition with alien precision. "The projectile will exist in every possible quantum state until it interacts with a target. At that point, probability itself will decide the most harmonious outcome," first observer completed. "You're not just firing a weapon, you're asking the universe to defend itself." The Railgun fired. The quantum bullet streaked across space, leaving a rainbow trail of probability in its wake. As it approached the Negator fleet, it split into countless possible versions of itself, each existing in a different quantum state. The Negator's rigid defensive systems tried to predict and counter each state individually, exactly the wrong approach. What happened next defied description in any single reality. The quantum bullet didn't just strike the Negator ships, it rewrote their very existence. Ships that were once certainties became mere possibilities, their rigid technology unable to cope with existing in multiple states at once. They're not being destroyed, James whispered in awe. They're being convinced. The quantum bullet is showing them every possible reality simultaneously, including ones where they understand, first observer completed. In at least one quantum state, they comprehend what we've discovered here. And that possibility is becoming real. The Negator fleet's attack faltered as their ships began to resonate with the quantum harmony zone. Their rigid, angular forms softened, adapting to a universe that was far more flexible than they'd imagined. Maya watched as probability itself rewrote the outcome of what should have been a devastating battle. They hadn't just defended Earth, they'd demonstrated a fundamental truth about the universe, that sometimes the best way to win wasn't to fight, but to show your enemy a better way. We should thank them, in a way, she mused. The Negator's attack proved something important. In trying to collapse our quantum harmony zone, they proved it was stronger than simple force, first observer agreed. You humans truly have changed everything. The question now is, are we all ready for what comes next? Above them, the quantum harmony zone pulsed with new potential, waiting to show them just how many possibilities the future held. 1 month after the Negator incident, the Atacama facility had transformed into Earth's first quantum harmony research center. The massive railgun, now more a symbol than a weapon, stood as a reminder of how humanity's desperate innovation had changed the galaxy's understanding of physics itself. Maya stood in the new quantum observatory, where streams of probability data flowed through the air like auroras. Representatives from a dozen alien civilizations worked alongside human scientists, each bringing their own perspective to the study of what they now called harmonic quantum mechanics. The latest data from the Jupiter outpost is fascinating, James said, manipulating a cloud of quantum possibilities with practiced ease. The harmony zone has stabilized into a permanent feature of local spacetime. It's not just changing physics, it's evolving. First observer, now joined by several former Negators who had chosen to stay and study the phenomenon, shifted their crystalline forms in what Maya had learned was their equivalent of excitement. The quantum harmony doesn't just allow for multiple simultaneous states, it actively encourages beneficial probability convergence. It's as if the universe itself prefers cooperation over conflict. Lieutenant Patel, recently promoted to head of quantum security, brought up a new set of readings on the main display. We're detecting similar zones forming spontaneously in other star systems. The effect is spreading, but not through normal space, it's propagating through probability itself. Of course it is, Maya smiled, watching the data streams. We didn't just create a new type of physics, we demonstrated a new way of working with the fundamental nature of reality. The universe is learning from us, just as we're learning from it.